Hi everyone, welcome. In our last lesson in this course, we learned about the basics of possessive adjectives in Spanish. In this lesson, we're going to review what we learned in the last lesson, and we are going to add some new information for one of the confusing areas of possessive adjectives in Spanish. So let's review. Over here on the left, we have our possessive adjectives in English, and in the middle and the right, we have our possessive adjectives in Spanish. Remember that there are singular forms for singular nouns, and there are also plural forms of the possessive adjectives for plural nouns. Notice also that the possessive adjectives for our and your familiar plural in Spain actually have 4 forms. We looked at some examples to put it into context. Also, very important, remember that possessive adjectives precede the noun, unlike descriptive adjectives. Remember, when we studied descriptive adjectives, we learned that they follow the noun in Spanish generally. So this is an exception to that rule. The possessive adjectives will precede the noun. So here's the problem. The possessive adjective su, when you translate it or interpret it back to English, has some different meanings. Su can mean his, her, your, or their. So it can be very ambiguous and confusing, especially if you're learning Spanish for the first time. So native speakers generally go by context. When they hear su, to interpret the meaning, they go by the context. There is a technique that we use in Spanish to avoid the confusion. So we'll use this little formula, article, noun, plus de, and subject pronoun to be very specific about the meaning. For example, if you want to say his house, I would say, well, su casa, but su casa is ambiguous. To clarify and make this very precise and exact, we use this formula. So if I want to say his house, I would say la casa de él, and that will have no confusion to a native Spanish speaker. La casa de él. If I want to say her house, I of course can say su casa, but to avoid ambiguity, I would say la casa de ella. Your house, I could say su casa. To avoid ambiguity, I would say la casa de usted. Finally, their house, I could say su casa. But to be precise, I would say la casa de ellos or la casa de ellas. And that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. To continue with this course and go on to the next lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. Hasta pronto.